Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Pascual Rosario. This is Rosario Funding. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can acquire up to $150,000 at 0% interest with business credit cards, right? Potentially more. Now, in this video, I'm going to be showing you the correct sequence. I'm going to be showing you the importance of knowing which bureau your bank pulls from, especially for your specific state. There's so many different banks out there with so many great credit products, and it's there all the time. So now I'm going to be showing you a bit of the products you can tap into. So here's a high level overview of how the process works. We want to have our business documents in place along with our LLC already formed. We want to have our business checking accounts already established with $2,000 to $5,000, letting it sit for a few days, a week or more. We want to know which banks we're applying to and which bureaus they pull from for our specific state. Very important. You want to have a maximum of 3 inquiries per bureau, ideally. And I'll get into what this means later on in the video. And finally, we apply for our business credit card and get anywhere from $10,000 to $35,000 at 0% interest. Now, here's a visual as to the difference between a personal loan and a 0% card over the course of a year. Let's assume we have a Chase business credit card at 0% interest over the course of a year. We're just paying around $4,000. Now with our personal loan at 15% interest, we're paying over $10,000. Now before we apply, we're going to have our credit profile ideally looking like this, right? This is like the ideal credit profile. Utilization under 30%, no late payments, no collections, no charge-offs, a maximum of 2 inquiries per bureau, an average account history of 2 years, and also comparable credit. Now, comparable credit is very important just because if we don't have any history to show that we can handle large amounts of money, then they're not going to trust us with a high limit. We can get approved for that bank, right? But we're not going to be able to get as high enough of a limit because they have nothing to base our trust off of. Whereas if we have a $25,000 line of credit already established, then they're much more likely to approve that 30K. Next up, on the business side, we want to have no ECC filings, no tax liens, no outstanding unresolved debts. We want to have a low risk NAICS code, and NAICS code is just a code for risk that they use to classify your business. And this is what you have been waiting for. This is the sequence strategy. Now I'm going to explain what this means here, right? We have Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Ideally, you have 3 inquiries per bureau. That way, we can have a total of 9 credit products, potentially more, right? And the way that this works is that each bank pulls from a specific bureau, and sometimes that bank is different based on the state you're in. So sometimes, let's say, Chase might pull from Experian, but if you're in, let's say, New Jersey, they may pull from Equifax. Just an example. So once we get 3 inquiries per bureau, let's say Experian, then we move on to Equifax, because when we apply for the banks that pull from Equifax, they're not going to see the Experian inquiries. They're going to see 0 inquiries, which is going to increase our chances of getting a higher limit and getting approved by a lot. And then we move on to TransUnion. They're not going to see the inquiries from Equifax or Experian, and we're going to have 3 more credit products, right? And if we do this correctly, we can acquire 9 credit products, right? 3, 3, 3, or we can acquire even more because some banks like American Express categorize all of your different credit products into 1 inquiry, right? So you can get multiple credit products with 1 inquiry. And then on top of that, some banks let us double dip or triple dip, meaning that we can have 2 credit cards or 3 credit cards, and we can have 1 inquiry for that. Now, something to keep in mind is that while we're applying, we want to start with our most inquiry sensitive banks first. And by inquiry sensitive, I mean your national banks. And then you want to work your way down to the regional banks, right? And the reason for this is because some banks value your inquiries more than others, right? If you apply to Chase with 2 inquiries versus if you apply to PNC, a regional bank, for 2 inquiries, Chase is a lot more likely to not approve you because you have 2 inquiries, whereas PNC is a lot more flexible and they're a lot more lenient with the 2 inquiries. Another layer we can utilize to establish a higher credit line is call up our bank and talk to the business relationship manager, right? Having that personal relationship, they're much more likely to give you pointers, look at your credit profile, and also help you along the way in the underwriting process. This can improve your limit by $5,000, even more than $10,000 if you do this the right way. And also just imagine how that can stack up against all these different banks that we're applying to, right? You can have a lot more money by just doing this one extra step. Let's talk about the different results we can obtain based on different things we did, right? Let's say we have somebody who didn't really have the correct sequence. He didn't do his research. His credit profile was just okay. He applies to a bunch of different credit cards in the wrong order. He can get around $60,000. Now let's say someone has a very strong profile and they have the correct sequence, but they didn't do any business relationship manager outreach. They can get around $125,000. Now let's say someone did everything correctly. They can have up to $150K or more at 0% interest funding. By the way, I would just like to point out that once you apply for these business credit cards, you're establishing a relationship with these banks. You can always come back months later or a year later and do this all over again with different products and again acquire more funding. And they're much more likely to give you more because you already shown you can pay off these things on time, right? So just keep this in mind. You can do this again and again and again and get funding as you please. Now, as promised, this is a credit card stack you can use for your business. First, we start off with the Chase Inc. Unlimited. Notice how I put Chase first. They're more inquiry sensitive. They're a national bank. They're a bit more prestigious. Next, we have Amex. Since they only count your credit products as one inquiry, you can get both of these cards with one inquiry. And next, you have our US Bank and Bank of America. Now, you have $150,000 at 0% interest across 3 different bureaus. Now, I would like to add, this is not exactly a copy and paste approach, right? Different businesses have different credit profiles and different situations, and we're all having businesses in different states. So do your research before you apply this method. And if you use the strategies and sequences that I showed in this video, you can get lots of money for your business again and again and again and again. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.